Feel like everything in online business is getting louder, but less helpful? Same. That's exactly why I created the Empowered Edge, a Friday email that cuts through the noise and delivers the good stuff. What I'm testing, shifting, and doubling down on to grow a digital product business that actually works. It hits your inbox every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can subscribe now at empoweredbusiness.co/edge. And after hearing this, if you think, I wish Monica would just help me figure my stuff out, that's what our new quick win momentum calls are for. In 50 minutes, we'll tackle whatever is keeping you stuck: your product, your funnel, your shop, your data, whatever your next move is. And we will map it out so you can act on it immediately. You can go and book your session right now at monicafroze.com/momentum. Now let's dive into the episode. Welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast, where strategy meets action. I'm Monica Froze, and I'm here to help you create, sell, and scale digital products the smart way, using AI and proven strategies to build a sustainable, profitable business. If you're ready to turn your expertise into digital products that sell and eventually grow into a thriving digital shop, you're in the right place. Each week, I break down real-world tactics, unfiltered insights, and bold business moves. Because building a digital product business should be sustainable, scalable, and designed for long-term success. Let's ditch the fluff, leverage AI to work smarter, and turn your expertise into a thriving digital empire on your terms. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Empowered Business Podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that I really want to learn more about, but I haven't really taken the time to learn about. So I brought on a good friend of mine, Brittany Long, who honestly is one of the OG AI educators in this space. And she is the first person that I really started learning AI from. And I asked her to come on because I want to talk all about AI automations and AI agents. So we spend a lot of this episode talking about the differences between them and how you can leverage them to really make your business automate it. And not only that, but how you can serve your clients better and faster. So Brittany Long is an AI trainer who works with ambitious entrepreneurs to automate and scale their businesses with AI for a regret-free life. Brittany is known for her out-of-box thinking and pulls from her experience as an award-winning educator and copywriter to create engaging, actionable AI training and support. So let's dive into today's episode and learn all about how we can leverage AI automations and agents in our business. Brittany, welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast. I am super excited to talk to you about AI today.
I always love chatting, and so I'm really excited to chat with you and also to talk about this.
Brittany is the first person that really put AI on my radar, and it feels like it should have been eons ago, but it's eons ago. It's just nuts to me how fast this has exploded, to be honest. I can't think of anything else that has exploded in the 12 years I've been in business online. AI just changing the entire landscape, and I feel it's what's really cool talking to you is you were really on the forefront of it, and I feel like you understand it better than 99% of people that I've run into in the online space. So that's my little brag for you. Now, to give people context on who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your entrepreneur journey that led you here?
Yeah, I started out actually in the teaching world. I was an educator for 4 years. And then after a cancer scare, I was like, this isn't what I want to do the rest of my life. What do I want to do? And so I went into entrepreneurship. I worked for someone else and had the opportunity to work for them at a higher level. So I got to do all these different things that I never would have gotten to do because I said yes to that opportunity. And so I got to learn how to do email marketing and copywriting, help run a multi-million-dollar company. And it was like an amazing experience. And then when I had my kiddo, I left that company to start my own, went into email marketing and copywriting because that's what I knew. We had a copywriting business for 3 years. It went really well. We focused on evergreen emails. And then ChatGPT came out and I was like, okay. At first I thought, oh, this isn't a big deal. It's just going to be like all the other Jasper, Jarvis, whatever it was. It's not going to make a difference. And then I tried it and I was like, crap. And so I thought I can either stick my head in the sand with it, which is what I wanted to do, or I can pivot. And years ago, when course creation first was kind of a big thing, my mentor was like, oh, Brittany, you should really do this. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I know enough. I made all these excuses. And I look back at that sometimes and I think, man, I wish I would just listen to her when she was saying that. And so I have always told myself, if another opportunity like that comes around where I can be the first to something, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to let fear stand in the way. I'm just going to pivot and really lean into it. And so with AI coming out and seeing kind of the writing on the wall for copywriting and for my copywriting business and agency, I thought maybe this is it. Maybe this is this opportunity for me to lean into it and not be scared. And that's what I did. And so that brought me into just learning everything I possibly could about AI as quickly as possible. And that brings us to today, years later now. And yeah, it's been great.
That really makes a ton of sense then why you had to be one of the first to
Yeah.
adopt. Because you're right, copywriting was one of the first things I feel like people were being put on the chopping block. AI. Have you heard of the concept of the red ocean, blue ocean?
Yeah.
Okay. So you essentially found a blue ocean. And I have done that twice in my online career. One was the Pinterest advertising course. And then the second one was when I taught digital product shops, which I still do teach digital product shops. I've just sidelined it a little bit as we got to the point where I was like, I think I need to learn AI. And really, I was just avoiding it only because of my personal life. I was going through a pretty rough divorce. I lost my stepfather, and I just didn't have the mental bandwidth. When I was 2020, it was literally like one of those New Year's resolutions things where it's okay, I need a fresh start in 2025. I want to forget about the last 2 years. I just need something new. And I thought, I like learning just like you do. We can't be entrepreneurs if we don't enjoy learning. And it was like, it's time for me to double down on AI. And the one thing that really stuck out to me is there's ChatGPT, but now there are a million other things. And it was almost, where do you focus? What do you tell people that are brand new? I grew up in tech, so it's not like I didn't understand what was going on, but it's still super overwhelming. So where do you tell people to start?
Yeah, sometimes people will tell me that where they're like, it's super overwhelming. And it definitely is. Even for me, where I'm doing this all day, every day, teaching people how to do it, it still can be really overwhelming because there's literally new stuff coming out every single day and new updates coming out every single day. And so what I usually tell people is that it's okay to be overwhelmed. This is just going to be the reality for a little bit. And knowing that there's a lot going on, it doesn't mean that you have to dig into everything that's going on. I usually encourage people to focus on what they have that they need done. Start with a time study, see what's actually going on in your business right now, what you're actually spending time on. And then once we have that time study done, we look at what can we delete from your business? What are the things that you're doing that doesn't actually help your business at all? What are the things that we can delegate to AI? What can we delegate to a team member? What can we automate? And what can we use an agent for? And so sometimes you don't know. You might look at yourself and you're like, I'm not sure what I can use AI for. And so what I do for that is I'll put in the time study into ChatGPT and I'll say, review this time study and tell me, and then have it break it down. What can I automate, delegate, etc. And sometimes just doing that, it gives you that head start, brings you out of the clouds a little bit of overwhelm.
So we met through Julie Chanel's program, Digital Insiders, and she was on the podcast as well. And I'm sure you know that she has that training, the second brain training. And she is very much of the school of thought, for her at least, that she's doubling down on ChatGPT. She is not on Gemini, she's not on Claude. And her point of view on that was, I'm going to get this to understand me so well that it literally is my second brain. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think especially when people tell me they're overwhelmed, don't try everything. Just try one thing that you need for right now that you're going to be able to use the most. And so for a lot of people, that is ChatGPT. And sometimes I'll hear folks that are further down the line saying, oh, you shouldn't recommend ChatGPT because there's all these other tools. And that's true. There are a lot of other tools, but ChatGPT can do what we need for the majority of our business. And so we start there. And then once I had mastered that, then I started moving to other things. Instead of trying to have 18 hands into 18 different things, but I only have 2 hands, just focus on 1 or 2 things and get really good at that and then start to expand.
What's your go-to now? What's your
ChatGPT?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
And in terms, I get asked this question a lot, but because I actually also don't want to overwhelm myself, I really did follow Julie's train of thought and double down on ChatGPT. Let me learn this first and get really good. But I get asked a lot the differences between ChatGPT and
Claude. And it's usually when people are asking about copy, should I use ChatGPT for copy or Claude? Again, I use ChatGPT the majority of the time, so it knows me really well. And so for me, it just makes sense to stay there most of the time because it's giving me what I want because it knows me so well. And I've given it so much feedback. But no matter what you choose, one of the biggest pieces to it doing well is giving it the feedback, saying what you like and don't like and being specific about it. I do have subscriptions to both because if ChatGPT goes down one day like it did the other day, I don't want to have to ruin my flow or get out of flow. I can just take what I've put in that chat and put it into Claude. But I very rarely use Claude. And part of it is a preference too. A lot of copywriting friends I know prefer Claude over ChatGPT. But again, most of the time that's because they haven't spent the time to really give it feedback and train it in ChatGPT. And it gets what they want a little bit faster in Claude if they already know the basics of copywriting.
That was what I took away from it too,
Yeah.
that really it's going to be as good as you training it. You know that my ChatGPT disappeared on me for 48 hours, which was very scary because I did not realize in a 6-month period how much I had come to rely on it, and not just for my business. Like it was a weekend. Luckily, it was a work day, but I had some things I wanted to catch up on and life things. And it was like my brain disappeared. It wasn't there anymore. And I bugged out a little bit, but luckily it came back.
Yeah.
But definitely that showed me, because I tried Claude that weekend and it was generic because it didn't
Yeah.
know anything about me. Okay, so two things that we're going to talk about primarily here are, one, how AI is really helping you this summer get back time so you can spend time with your kids when they're outside of school and making your life a little bit easier, which I know all the moms listening are going to be interested in listening and hearing how AI can do that. But then we're going to take it a little step further in a more advanced topic that this is the next topic I really want to learn about. Selfishly, I'm glad you're here, is AI automations. And I've really scaled back on the amount of help I have in the business, and I need to learn how to automate better because I'm going to drown in to-dos if I don't. So there's that. And then I want to touch on the AI agents too. But before that's what we're going to be talking about. How is AI going to help you get your time back this summer?
Yeah, we have my kiddos home with us. And so when I first realized, first of all, we're really excited that she's home with us. We decided not to do summer stuff. We're really excited about that. And I also have a business to run. And so part of it helping me is I have put a lot of automations in place on the front end. So I kind of have this extra time. Going into the summer, I was like, all right, I have 16 days to get ready for summer. What automations do I need to set up? So that's something I've been asking myself leading up to this. The other thing, though, that I'm doing is I'm thinking, what are the things that take a lot of mental energy? Because I know for me personally, there's a few times where I'm not the best mom I can be. And it's usually when I'm stressed about money or when I haven't gotten enough sleep or when I have to make a lot of decisions. So for me, I'm looking at how can I continually make more than my baseline so that I'm never feeling stressed about money? How can I make sure that I'm getting enough sleep? And how can I make sure I don't have as many decisions to make? And so the biggest place that I use AI for the summer and for reducing some of that friction for me is through the decision making. And for example, if I'm trying to figure out, all right, maybe I'm staying home today and my husband's going to work, what are the things that I'm going to be doing with my daughter that's going to be fun? Spending the whole day being like, I don't know what to do. I'm bored, those kind of things. And I told ChatGPT about me. I tell it about my daughter. And I say, can you give us some ideas on what we can do today? Here's what the weather's going to be like. Here's what we're feeling like. And then just what's our energy level? What's our mood level? What are we interested in? And then it comes up with a plan for us for this week and for the day and then for the week also. It also helps with meal ideas. That's like the bane of my existence is trying to figure out what are we going to eat at night as an adult, or I guess even early adult before kids. I didn't think that was going to be an issue, but now with kids, I'm like, there's so many, I feel like I always have to have something to eat. So that helps. It helps with that a lot. It helps with trying to figure out how am I going to get the workout in, because that's something else. I know that if I walk in the morning, it helps stabilize my blood sugar. But sometimes if she's up before me and immediately wants something to eat and all of those things, it's hard to stay in a routine. Sometimes I struggle when my routine is interrupted or when what I think is going to be my schedule is interrupted. Sometimes I struggle with that. And I don't want to, but it just disrupts everything. And when that happens, when I'm like, oh man, I was going to go for a walk this morning, but that's just not going to happen now. I'll just check in with ChatGPT and be like, hey, here's what's coming up for me. Here's how I'm feeling. I just need something to bring me back to homeostasis. And it gives me some ideas for that too. And then obviously coming up with ideas for her on what to do as well that can be educational and also fun and makes memories and all of that. And then we're also using it to help come up with some Father's Day stuff for Father's Day this weekend. We have a comic book we're doing, a storybook, some trading card ideas.
I didn't even think about that for Father's
Yeah.
Day. So I did this series of 4 workshops under my other brand, Redefining Mom. So I've been making this big pivot. I wouldn't say pivot because I'm still keeping the Empowered Business stuff, but I'm basically reviving the brand. And in an effort to try to figure out what moms wanted, I wanted to go back to the core of what are our core needs, right? And so I developed these 4 workshops, AI mom hacks, we call them. And one of them I did was on basically childcare, how to find childcare, alternatives to childcare. I was blown away. It told me about things in my local area that I could do with my kids or ways that I can get time. Because this is the biggest thing is that now that I am not married, when I have my kids, there, no one's stepping in to
Yeah.
help at
You're
all,
on
you know?
100%.
100%, yes, and that's mentally very draining, especially if one of us is having an off day, and I did not realize how many options there are out there, and particularly free things you can do, and I was like, it really, when I was doing that workshop, it really brought together for me how Google is not nearly as good. The
Yeah.
amount of digging you have to do and know what to say to Google to get
Yeah.
to find these things, and this just got it back to me in less than 30 seconds. I was just blown away.
And if you're using deep research with it too, where you're because it already knows all these things about you and what you like, and I'll put in my personality and my kid's personality, I'll put all that information in. And so it knows to leave out some stuff. If it's a local concert or something, I'm probably not going to go to that because it's just a little bit too loud for me. Apparently, I'm 75, but it won't give me some of those things, but it'll give me things that it thinks that I'm going to based on all the conversations we've had. And with deep research, it really goes in depth on everything. And yeah, it's so cool.
Do you use ChatGPT like how Julie does every morning? You come in and brain dump every single thing that's going on so it knows everything about your life?
Yep. And I have different projects too. So I have here's what's going on today. I have a health and wellness one. So I pretty much every day I'll do that too. So not only here's what's going on in my life today, but also here's how I'm feeling today. And so it helps me identify some fluctuations, and sometimes it'll even notice fluctuations in my body and my blood sugar before I do. And it'll be, oh, you may want to try this vitamin today, or you may want to add in this activity today because your blood sugar has been higher than normal the last few days. Or, hey, you can expect this to happen because this is how you've been feeling. And, oh, you may want to get some extra sleep today. And so I'm okay. So
that is so interesting because I haven't tracked my macros. I'm pretty good with updating it consistently throughout the day with everything that I've eaten. And for me, it's really important because I had weight loss surgery. And so you have to be really careful about your vitamin levels and deficiencies. And so I'm terrible at hitting my protein goals. And I absolutely refuse to drink shakes again. Because after I had the surgery, I had to live on shakes for what felt like forever. And if I ever smell one again, I just can't handle it. Yeah. So I have been using it in creative ways to get more protein in my diet. And it had pointed out to me that when I complain about my energy levels, it's almost always the days that my protein is the lowest.
that's so interesting.
And I mean, that seems logical to me. And yet I never made that connection. And I had it in 2021. And here we are in 2025, and I never made that connection.
And you probably never had a doctor mention anything to you about it. I had that with vitamin, it was like B12 deficiencies. And I kept saying the same thing. I always tired. And it was like, hey, according to your labs, you actually have a vitamin B12 deficiency. Nobody's ever told. And it was because of a medication I was taking, but nobody has ever mentioned that to me. And they're like you said, years.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a nutritionist, everything. And nobody made that connection for me. And it is so true. Now I pay attention to that significantly. Really, I uploaded my labs as well. It points out things that I feel like doctors just, if it's not, they just don't bother to follow up with you on it. And so it really makes me wonder how many labs I had done in the past that really should have been addressed, especially before I lost weight. And just, they're like, meh.
Yeah.
So it really, it is quite powerful. And I've branched off into some other apps at this point in terms of different apps to do certain things when it comes to AI. But really, I still consider myself pretty novice, and ChatGPT has quite literally just changed everything about how I function in 6 months. So I always tell everyone to just get started. And one of the things I tell people is, if you're going to put it in Google, just go to ChatGPT instead. Is that a good way to retrain yourself?
Yeah, it's a great place to start because sometimes people will be like, where do I even start with this? Start with your day. Start with the beginning of your day. Start with literally everything that you can do. Just, you can even say, this is what I'm doing right now. What are the ways that you can help me? And ask ChatGPT to answer that. And it's going to give you some ideas on how it can help even then.
Yeah. And one of the things I did, I don't know why it took me so long to realize that it can read photos, because it can. One of the things I started doing, I struggled so much with, was when I really finally got into cooking, which is funny. I had weight loss surgery and then I decided I liked cooking. And so now I find it very exciting, especially when I'm alone and I don't have the kids, because I can try things without them getting like, where are my chicken nuggets? And I had no idea that you could take, because figuring out my macros from something I made from scratch is near impossible. So now I take pictures of all the labels and I tell it how much I used of each of the ingredients, and then it automatically assumes bigger portions than I can eat. So I'm like, this made probably about 12 portions for me, and it will give me my macros based on the labels.
I love that. Yeah.
this is genius. Like unlimited.
Saves so much time.
Yeah, so much. And I also upload all of my expenses for both the business and personal. Will say it did make me a little sick. You really want to know how much you're spending on Amazon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Upload both purchases. It,
Yeah.
it was a little alarming to me. So those are really cool ways to cut back, save time essentially, and make more time for our kids. The more advanced topic that I really want to hear about. And I think the first question I have before we dive into it is, what is the difference between AI automations and AI agents?
So an AI automation is something that happens as an if-then flow. So you can tell it, this is exactly what I want you to do. These are the exact parameters. If this happens, then you do this. And you can still give it prompts and stuff, but it's going to all be based on these if this happens, then do this thing next. But with an agent, it can actually think. And so characteristics of an agent is that it has a brain. So it can use an LLM like ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, those things. It has memory, so it can reference past things that has happened within that agent. It has the ability to automate as well, but it also has the ability to think for itself. So instead of having to rely on if-then statements, it can say, okay, this is what the form says based on our sales process. I think this person will respond best if we say this thing. And so instead of just following a prompt, it's deciding what's going to be best to communicate with someone based on its vast amount of knowledge. And so that's the main difference. So I usually tell people, if you had an in-person lemonade stand, a regular AI would be like, hey, here's a recipe you can use. Hey, here's a way that you can sell better when you're talking to people about this. But an agent is, hey, let me stir this for you. Let me talk to these people for you. Let me let you know that, hey, we're low on inventory. I'll place that order. And so it actually can come up with the recipes and stuff like that. But then it can actually also take action on those without it requiring you to press something, without you having to trigger it.
And we were talking earlier that one of the ways to use the AI agent is to actually train it on all of your course material, what you teach, and then it can be a coach for your students when you're sleeping, essentially. Like it could be in your course portal. And instead of you having to be on a million Zooms explaining things to people, it can do it for you.
And I had mentioned that, so I have a coach Brittany bot that I use. So my one-on-one clients, we can talk one-on-one, but like you were saying, if it's middle of the night, they can still get that answer that they need to and stay in flow. One of the really cool things with it is I was just looking at the stats, and there's been over 400 conversations that have happened with Coach Brittany Bot over the period of a week. So the amount of time, it blows my mind a little bit, the amount of time that's saving me. And I can help my people get from point A to point B so much faster because they don't have to wait for me to be able to get my kiddo off to school and do all these other things. It's insane. It just blows my mind.
So 400 chats in a week, is that all one-on-one clients or also people in your program?
No, that's only one-on-one clients right now. We haven't yet integrated it into our program, but we're about to.
How many one-on-one clients do you have?
60.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I need to be out about because my type 2 diabetes, I realized I couldn't just sit at a computer all day. So I do messaging now so that I can walk and respond.
Okay. So Voxer pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now tell me about the app you're using for Coach Brittany.
Yeah, it's a tool called Delphi, Delphi. It's just really cool. So you can set it up so that it's voice, video, and text. Right now, I'm just using it for text because I wanted to test it out first. I upload all of the information that the people in that program would normally get. So like my one-on-one clients get everything. So any courses that I have, memberships, training, Zoom calls that I've done, coaching calls that I've done, group calls, copy reviews, everything goes into there. And so it's trained on all my professional knowledge ever. And then I put in other information too that my clients would know about me already, about what I like and those kind of things. So right now, our Coach Brittany bot is trained on over 1 million data sets. And so there's a lot of information in there. So then when somebody goes to ask it a question, I've trained it so that it'll ask them just a follow-up thing to understand where they're coming from. And then it can go into what I would normally say because it has access to everything. And then the other cool thing is that you can go in there. So I can see everybody's conversations. So if somebody's getting stuck, it'll alert me. If somebody has a question that it doesn't know the answer to, it alert me. But then in the kind of in between there, I can see the conversations and see, oh, everybody's asking about this thing right now. I should do a training on that. And then I can also revise the answer. So let's say I go in there and I see an answer that I'm like, I would say it a little differently. I can edit it and then it learns from that also.
Okay, now how difficult is this?
It's not difficult, but it is a little bit time consuming. So you have to go through all of your content and download it, upload it, all of those things. And so I had a team member that did that for me. And so it wasn't that time consuming, but for her, it was quite time consuming because there's just a lot of content to add in.
But it's not very techy on the back end.
No, it's basically just uploading stuff and then editing some things, but it's not hard, no.
Because I'm thinking I've been teaching online
Mm-hmm.
for a decade. And
Yep.
the amount of stuff that I've created without the help of AI, which is truly my brain on paper, is quite significant. I feel like this could be the biggest way I could up level how I'm helping my current students, really. Wow.
Yeah, that's when we're talking to people about integrating AI, we usually say, okay, your first level is going to be cloning your words. So like the things that you're typing, the things that you're texting, that's kind of what we want to clone first. And we want to be able to sound like you because that's that first layer. But then after that, we look at cloning your photos, your voice, like your actual physical voice. So some of our podcast episodes, for example, are Brittany AI. But you can't really tell, even my mom wasn't able to tell. It really sounds like me.
Wait, whoa. Podcast episodes out there?
Yeah.
Like you're like that's like me recording a solo episode.
Yeah.
But AI did it.
Yeah, usually I'll have it scripted. So what I do, and this kind of goes to the automation point that we were talking about earlier. So my process is I send a Slack note to myself every morning on my walk, just about some things I'm thinking about with AI or some things that I saw people asking a lot of questions about. I just do a quick message there, and then that automation happens, and it creates a script for a podcast episode. It creates a script for a YouTube episode, Facebook post, LinkedIn article, blog post, and like everything else you can possibly think of. And so with that one, we've cloned my words, obviously, my images, my voice. We use 11 Labs for that. And then we also cloned my video too. And so in that automation, the only thing we have in the automation that's manual is that it sends the script to my team member who then uploads a script into a tool we use for video cloning. And then that's what creates some of our YouTube videos.
So you're saying I can go to YouTube and watch videos with you, but
and Instagram too. Yeah. For my reels.
A little speechless, right?
Please.
I've met you in real life. I've had real life conversations with you. So to see what that looks like. Okay. But here's the thing. That sounds so awesome, but how does that work? Like what tools are you using?
Yeah. So there's 4 main automation tools that I hear people talking about. The first is GenSpark, and that's really good. If you're just starting out and I don't even know where to begin with automations, GenSpark is a really good place because it has a few options for you that are high impact options. So for example, with GenSpark, I can go in and there's one, and you just talk back and forth to it, but I can basically say, hey, can you read my emails and tell me what I need to take action on today? And then anything that I don't need to take action on today, just don't worry about telling me about those. Because emails sometimes feel a little overwhelmed by. Yeah. So I just go in there, ask it to tell me the emails. I know that there's some summit interview things I need to respond to. Can you just tell me which ones I need to respond to first? And so it came up with a summary, how to respond to it and everything. And so it just went into my inbox, read that. And then it also went to my calendar and it was like, this one you can do, but this one you can't because you already have other stuff planned at that time. So that's a good one to start if you're brand new to automations. The next one would be Zapier, and that's really beginner friendly, but it is more expensive as well, but really beginner friendly. So that's a great option to go with. The one that I'm using most right now is Make because I can share those. So like in our programs and stuff, I can share them with my folks and they don't have to create them. I just create them for them. Make is beginner to intermediate, and then you just set up everything in there. The other one that people have been talking about a lot right now is N8N. All of these allow you to do automations and also agents, but N8N is the most advanced that most people talk about, and you can do the most with it. But it's also the most techy. So if you're just starting out, begin with GenSpark. If you're beginner level, I would use Zapier. And then if you're beginner intermediate, I would go to Make. So you have regular Zapier, which is automations. And then they just came out with AI agents within Zapier. And with AI agents, you can do a little bit more. So for example, I set one up yesterday where I said, I want you to read literally every email that comes into my inbox. If it's something I don't need to see right now or it's promotion, I want you to just mark it as read and leave it there. If it's something that I need to respond to me personally, because it's like a summit or something like that, I want you to send me a message in Slack and say, hey, here's what you need to respond to. Here's the response you can give. Do you approve this? If I approve it, then it's going to send it for me. If I edit it, I'll edit it and then I can approve it and it'll send to me or for me. And that all in Slack. I don't have to go anywhere else or in my inbox. And then if it's something like somebody wants to know how to upgrade to one of our other programs, then I say, all right, send a message to our team member, Judy, and she'll take care of that. And so then she would approve it if she likes the message it came up with or deny it or whatever. And then we also have a piece of that agent where it'll check high level, which is what we use for our CRM. So it checks high level to see what program they're currently in. And then it lets Judy know that so that she doesn't have to go and check that.
Your podcast flow that you were telling us about what automation are you using for that?
I'm using Make for that. So the podcast automation is just through Make. And I have two set up right now. One is an RSS feed, and we're about to start testing that one out. But basically, what happens is new information comes out about AI. It reads it, creates a summary for me, and then creates a podcast script, and then actually creates the podcast, and then sends to my team member who then uploads it into the podcast tool that we use. And then the other one is where I send that note to myself and it creates a podcast script.
So this brings up a very interesting question for me, because if you can clone yourself in voice and in video and people don't know if it's you
Yeah.
or not, what are the implications of that though? I keep thinking, are we just all never going to have to show up? And then what are the implications of that for these social media platforms really? Do they want a bunch of just AI, and can they tell the difference?
Yeah.
Can Instagram tell if it's you on the reel or not at this point?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, to be completely honest, but I do know, for example, if we look at Google is setting the way, we see Google essentially being okay with AI as long as it's unique. And that's where it comes in with the right prompts, or like I like to do, where I'm saying my voice message. So it's coming from my brain. That's why I like to take that route with it. As far as what's the implication for will we ever have to show up again? I think we'll still show up, but I think it'll be more thinking in the future. I think it'll be more of we show up because we want to, instead of feeling like we're in this hustle rat race sort of thing. I also think it'll make community more important, in-person events more important, where people actually get to see like human you, which is something my clients have been saying, hey, human Brittany, because we talk about human Brittany and AI Brittany, and any voice things I do, podcast episodes, I'll say at the end if it's human Brittany or AI Brittany, because that feels in alignment for me. I think eventually we'll get to the point where it'll be law that you have to do, but for me, that right now, that's my standard.
Trips me out a little bit about this. And here's the thing, I am never a sky is falling person. I believe in embracing, like, I feel like if you want to be online, you have to embrace AI at this point. And so I see a lot of positive benefits about it. But where I think back to the early days of creating my Pinterest course, and one of the first things that really got me online was when someone took my course, re-recorded it, and word for word, even to the point of telling stories about my kids as if they were hers. And that creeped me out significantly and really bothered me. So what if someone clones you then? And you have no control over your likeliness being out there saying potentially really bad things.
Yeah. So I've thought about this a lot. And I think ultimately, especially as business owners who are in the online space, this is a risk no matter what. Whether I'm cloning myself or not, this is going to be a risk that someone else can steal that image and that likeness. And that was a risk before AI became mainstream. There's always been, or not always, but there's been that scam for a long time where people can call your parents or grandparents and be, oh, it's me and I'm in jail. I need you to send money, like that kind of thing. So that's been around for a really long time. And as business owners, we have our voice out there. We have our video out there. So that's always been a risk for us. I think people are maybe just more aware of it now because they see that it's something that they, maybe not a super techie person, can actually do, or someone they know who's not a super techie person can do. They're like, man, what if somebody has bad intentions? They could do that for me too. So I think it's more just in the forefront. For us, what we do is we have a passcode, a family passcode. So if something like that ever happened, we can be like, okay, what's the passcode? And if they don't give the right passcode, obviously it's not mom. I also talk with my daughter a lot about, is this real mommy or AI mommy? So that she's, even if she can't tell all the time, at least she starts to ask herself when she's seeing videos and images and hearing things, is she thinking, is this real, or is it possible this could be AI? And I think that's something we really need to be teaching our kids. I think that's one of the reasons community is so important, and that we're showing up with our community so that they know if there's a video of me out there saying terrible things, they would be like, is this real Brittany or AI Brittany? Oh, Brittany would, like, I know Brittany. I've been around her for years in the online space. She would never say anything like this. And so that's my hope, is that they would come to me first and be like, hey, I saw this. Is this you? Like when you see on Facebook, somebody has a new profile and they send you a message and they're like, have you ever thought of blah, blah, blah? And you're like, I don't think this is you. It's that same idea.
It's going to be interesting how this hits mainstream, because let's say someone does it to a celebrity, and you know how damage control on the mass scale can be. Once someone hears it or sees it, it's really hard to change public perception a lot. And I do wonder, because even though I still feel so novice with AI, the reality is I am light years ahead of probably most people out there. When do you think AI is going to be truly mainstream for people?
I think we're going to see it in the next few years. And I think it's going to be because of job loss that it starts to become really mainstream for most people. I think most people have like they've heard of it and stuff. Most people, I talked to my neighbor the other day, she's 85 and she asked what I did. And I said AI and she's, what's that? And that's the first time anybody's said that to me since I've said something about AI. So I think it's starting to become more mainstream, but I think we'll see it become even more mainstream as more job loss occurs, which again is one of the reasons I think it's really important for entrepreneurs to do everything that you can to build your community, build your list so that you're in a really good position so that when friends, family members, whatever, do lose jobs because of AI, because of automations, even because of robotics, you're in a position to show them, like, hey, here's something else that you can do. Here's how I can help. I think that we kind of have to lead the way in that. And some people are, we should not have AI at all. We should put it back, and it's just not going back in the box. So at this point, it's like, how can I lead the way for my audience, my colleagues, my family, my friends? That's my perspective on that.
And the people you coach, those 60 people that one-on-one, what kind of industries are they in?
Mostly online businesses, some doctors too that have like online coaching as well. But yeah, online businesses mostly.
Is it mainly them trying to figure out how to fit AI into what they're doing so that they're not left behind?
Yeah, how to integrate it so they're not left behind, but also how to just spend less time feeling like they're hustling all the time. A lot of people, because I talk a lot about having this regret-free life and making sure that what we're doing aligns with the person we want to be and with the kind of legacy we want to live, just getting away from maybe our parent or grandparents' generation of being that workaholic. And so a lot of folks come to me for that, where they're like, yeah, I don't want to be a workaholic. I don't want to model that for my kids, but I don't know how else to do it because I need to make money. I need to pay the bills. A lot of folks come for that too. We work with a lot of people who are, I want the coaching. Some are, I want you to train me and show me how to do it. But then there's other people who are, please just do it for me. I don't want to learn how to do this.
How many people are in your team helping you do all of this?
We have me, Cindy is my right-hand woman. She does affiliate stuff and then random other things that I need throughout the day, throughout the month. And she does a lot of like relationship type stuff with our course clients as well. And then we have Judy, who's our VA. She does a lot of uploading. And since we're getting agents to do that now and automations to do that, we're moving her to other things that are more of the human to human kind of things. And then Zach is on our team too, but he's mostly, my husband, he's mostly in his other business now. He's not crossing over as much anymore. So it's mostly me, Judy, and Cindy. And then we have one person who edits one YouTube video a week.
So it's you that does the done for you services for people?
So right now it's me, and then Cindy helps with project management, and then Judy helps with the delivery.
Wow. I'm impressed. You have a lot going on.
People tell me that a lot, and they're like, oh, you're so busy, but I'm really not. I actually went through a little bit of an identity crisis because of this, because I was so in the hustle mode. And even as I started to do evergreen emails and stuff, and we had selling happening through evergreen emails, the change from using just evergreen emails to now what we have with AI, the amount of time that I have is significantly different. Like we have significantly more time. And so sometimes I feel bad about it because I'll go to the Springs multiple times a week. I started whittling. I have hobbies now and it's amazing. And I always had it in my head to work harder. And so now that's not going to be the reality anymore. You know what I mean? Like an AI agent or automation or AI in general can outwork you because it never sleeps, never eats, whatever. And so now I'm having to say, okay, for so long, my value and my worth has been wrapped up in the work that I do. So who am I now? And so I had about 6 months of identity crisis of who even, I don't know. But I think we're going to see more and more entrepreneurs experiencing that as they start to use AI more and more. With AI, I can do a lot more of this kind of stuff where I'm just getting to talk to people and feel like I'm being part of something positive.
I need your program on automations, I think. You said you do have a whole program on AI automations, right?
Yeah. So we just adding that in. And so we're adding that in. That launches in just a few weeks here. And then AI 200K, we put that in there as well.
What is AI 200K?
So in the past, we were, hey, here's your pathway to get from where you are now to your first 100K or next 100K. But recently we just went through, or we're going through the updates now because AI does so much more than that. And so now our levels are with basically cloning yourself so you can make more. So AI to 100K takes you through all the steps of here's how to clone yourself so you get more traffic, so you can have more sales, so you have better systems in place, so you can make more money without working all the time. Just basically modeling what we do and all the tools that we do and taking you through that.
Okay. And then the next level, which you're launching in a couple of weeks, is teaching people how to actually do the automations.
No, sorry, I wasn't clear on that. So the automations we actually add into AI 200K also. Yeah, so we add that in as well. The automations one, that's just if you only want automations and agents, we talk about that in there. But AI 200K is more of that whole cohesive kind of piece to it.
Gotcha. Okay. If people want help and they're like, hey, I need to automate way more than I have been, or just learn, where's the quickest way to find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, Women Thrive with AI. You can also find me on YouTube, also Women Thrive with AI.
Awesome. We'll be sure to link to that in show notes. And thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap on today's episode, but your next step starts right now. If you're serious about selling digital products and want the AI-powered tools, expert strategy, and real human support to make it happen, then you need to check out the Empowered Business Society. Inside, you'll get AI-driven trainings to create and sell digital products faster, a private community for expert feedback and real-time support, exclusive access to the Monica Memo podcast, and if you go pro, you'll get monthly marketing shortcuts, live Q&As, and 20% off of the Empowered Shop perpetually. Because smart business owners sell smarter, they don't work harder. And the best part, you can get started for as little as $9. The best business growth happens when AI and real humans work together. Ready to make your next move? Join us inside of the Empowered Business Society. You can check us out at empoweredbusiness.co/society. See you in the next episode.